All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into a fascinating blueprint for building wealth. It comes from a financial literacy presentation that lays out a pretty clear and maybe even controversial path to financial freedom. Let's break it down.
You know that old saying, right? Building wealth is like planting a seed. You put some money away, you're patient, you let it grow over time. It's a nice, simple idea we've all heard a million times.
But what if that's not the whole picture? What if, to stretch the analogy, the soil you're planting in matters a lot? The material we're looking at today argues that there are really two completely different financial worlds out there.
And that's where we get to the heart of this idea. This split between the financial reality for 90% of people and the reality for the top 10%. The whole point of this framework is to show you how to get from one side to the other.
It all starts with something called the cash flow quadrant. So on the left side, you've got employees, people who have a job, and the self-employed who own their job. Their income is tied to their time. But on the right side, you've got business owners who own a system that makes money and investors who have their money working for them.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The source claims that a full 90% of people are on the left side of that quadrant. They're typically earning less than $100,000 a year, and many are working well into their retirement years. That other 10%, they're on the right side. We're talking higher incomes, different kinds of assets, and the option to retire. It's a pretty stark divide.
So if 90% of us are on that left side, what does that actually look like day to day? Well, the numbers laid out in this presentation, they're pretty eye-opening.
You've got this huge contrast, right? On one side, you have the dream we're all sold, the big house, the nice cars, financial security. But on the other side, you have the feeling that for a lot of people, that dream is just over. There's this massive gap between aspiration and reality.
And here's some data to back that up. A staggering 59% of Americans couldn't come up with $1,000 for an emergency.
And it doesn't stop there. Over half, 54%, don't even have enough cash to cover 3 months of their basic expenses. And maybe the most shocking of all, nearly a quarter of Americans, 24%, have absolutely zero emergency savings. Nothing. It shows just how many people are living right on the financial edge.
So why? What's going on here? The source offers this quote, and it's a powerful one. The idea is that so many of us get stuck in a good life. You know, a decent job, a steady paycheck, and it's just so easy to settle for that. That comfort of good enough actually stops us from ever reaching for something great.
Okay, so if we want to move from good to great, we have to know what we're up against. The presentation calls these the enemies of building wealth.
And there are 3 big ones. First up, taxes. They take a huge slice of your income before you even see it. Second, inflation and market losses. This is the silent killer that just eats away at the value of your savings. And number 3, good old procrastination. Just putting things off, which costs us opportunities and, believe it or not, actual money.
So we know the problem, and we know what we're fighting against. Now what do we do about it? Let's talk about the actual tools you can use to build a solid financial future.
Now, you've probably heard of all these, right? The usual suspects: stocks, real estate, mutual funds, 401ks, just putting money in the bank. But the argument here is that not all of these tools are built the same, not by a long shot. So the source material does something really cool here. It grades these tools against 4 key things: safety, growth, liquidity, meaning how fast you can get your cash, and tax advantages. And look at this. A bank account is safe, yeah, but has almost no growth. Stocks can grow, but they're not safe. Real estate, great, but good luck getting your money out quickly. According to this specific analysis, insurance is the only one that gets a check mark in all 4 boxes.
And that brings us to the central metaphor here. Thinking about your finances like you're building a house. You can have all the fancy stuff, a good job, a degree, investments, but if your foundation is shaky, the whole thing could come crashing down.
And this is where the presentation really makes its big, bold claim. It suggests that the right kind of insurance isn't just a safety net, it's the actual foundation you need to build real generational wealth.
And this slide just says it all, doesn't it? Take a look at Family A. They have life insurance. When tragedy strikes, they pass on wealth, a legacy. Family B, on the other hand, has nothing. They can end up passing on debt, starting the next generation off in a financial hole. It's a powerful illustration of how critical that foundation is.
But, and this is a huge but, not all insurance is the same. The source makes a really important distinction, comparing term insurance to renting a house. It's cheap, it covers you for a while, and then it's gone. Permanent life insurance, though, is like owning your home. It's yours forever, and more importantly, it builds up cash value.
equity that you can actually use.
Okay, stick with me, because this is the example that really ties it all together. The presentation asks, what if you opened a permanent life insurance policy for your newborn child and just put in $200 a month until they turned 18? That's about $43,000 total. Well, according to their projections, because of the way it grows, that policy could be worth over $1.5 million by the time your kid is ready to retire. It's literally a retirement fund created from birth.
And that really just leaves us with one final big question to think about. Based on everything we just saw, what kind of financial house are you building? What kind of foundation are you laying down, not just for yourself, but for the generations that are going to come after you?